Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan back here again today with you on this YouTube channel talking about life, astrology, human design, gene keys. And today I'm coming to you with a very interesting topic, which is, I feel like it's just the time for me to talk about it because it's something that I have found to be a new adventure that I'm currently going through in my life right now. And that is dealing with haters on social media. And somehow that appears to me to be a result of having a lot of oppositions in my birth chart. And maybe if you guys out there are watching and you have a lot of oppositions in your birth chart, you can maybe relate to this in a sense, but maybe, maybe on social media, but maybe just in your own life and just kind of seeing people reflecting back to you, either your potentials or your qualities within yourself that you might have to work on. I don't even know where to begin. I feel like I have so many thoughts in my head right now. And I am sitting here with like these beautiful baby herbs that I'm growing for this summer so I can harvest. And I'm just feeling really nice with all my plants. I've been taking valerian root tincture to help me sleep because there's been so many thoughts coming in. But apparently valerian root can also trigger, like if you're already someone who's prone to having very vivid dreams, trigger you to have even more dreams. So you actually end up waking up tired than being able to sleep. So I'm battling with that a little bit and, like how can I really get myself to sleep properly? But I think that sharing my thoughts, sharing what's in my head is also really useful. So here we go. All right, where do I begin? Well, I think I'm going to begin with sharing with you guys the oppositions that I have in my birth chart. So I actually have a lot of them. I have Mars opposite Uranus, and that is the tightest opposition, is the Mars and Uranus opposing each other. My Mars is also opposite to Saturn and opposite to Neptune. And my moon is opposite to Neptune and opposite to Saturn. And if you want to put Chiron into the mix, then Chiron is also opposite to Uranus and conjunct my Mars and opposite to Saturn and Neptune. So it's that 1989 generation where I have Mars and Moon in Cancer and the three outer planets there in Capricorn. If you're born in the same generation, maybe you can relate a little bit. So I posted this video on Instagram, and it was about how I no longer work 9 to 5 and that I talk to trees for a living and taste the earth for a living. And I wanted to say that I just love that video because I'm showering in the rain. I love to shower in the rain. But I felt really passionate about that video because it is my journey. It's my journey from going from like working in the corporate world, working 9 to 5, to running my own business, to working online and being able to live anywhere in the world, being able to travel anywhere in the world because I'm doing my own thing now online in the way that I want to do it. And so some of the comments that I got for that particular video were comments like, I'm a trust funarian, like I'm a trust fund baby. I thought that was really funny because I'm not even American. There were also people who thought I was completely homeless and they told me to go back to the reservation. And at first I was like, what's a reservation? Because I'm not even American. I don't even live in the US. And there were some comments like that really also made me feel really sad because some people were saying like, life is about suffering. Like you have to work 9 to 5. We don't have any other choice. That was basically the message there. You have to be super lucky to not be in the 9 to 5. And that actually was a comment that made me feel so sad. Because I think that we can empower ourselves into living the kind of life that we want. If you know that you are suffering in the work that you're doing, then you have that awareness. And now you have the choice, the free will to choose how you want to deal with that. I do still work, obviously, but I just don't work 9 to 5, right? And so I think that that video triggered a lot of people on Instagram because they feel that by saying I'm not working 9 to 5, I'm actually not working at all. And I don't know how that conclusion came to be, but I think that there is a certain reactivity with people and with humans in general. Like when they see something and it triggers an emotion, they feel the need to react right away without actually considering like what's being said there. What is she actually saying? And I can definitely see that being a part of myself too, where with my Mars being opposite to Uranus, I can sometimes have that kind of, instant reaction. But of course, through maturity and being in my 30s, I've learned to not act on the first reaction that comes out to me and kind of sitting with things a little bit more, right? But apparently there are these challenges that I'm still facing. And I think it's a really interesting time that I'm facing haters on Instagram, because it's also a period in my life where I'm also having a little bit of intense relationship with my family at this point. But I won't go into the details of that right now. There's a way in which my family views me as that sort of like reactive person, that Mars opposite Uranus person, and they still feel like I am now. They know me to be that person when I was a child, and somehow it's very hard for them to get out of that mindset that I'm still that reactive child, although I've grown and I've matured in a sense, right? So I think it is a calling for me to really step into a solid sense of maturity and into my power, and to not react to the people that are reacting to me. And so, of course, being a 1-3 in human design, I've done a lot of research about like why haters exist on social media, what's the psychology behind them, and how do I deal with them, and what is it actually, telling me about myself, and how can I grow and evolve from that. And I wanted to share that with you guys today. And I want to clarify here that when I use the word hater, I'm just using it because it's easier to like understand who we're talking about. But I don't really believe that these people are hating on somebody else, right? It's just a term to help us to understand something better. And I innately believe that there is goodness inside everybody, and that inside everybody we want to be loved and we want to love. But I think to make the first step is always the hardest. And that's going to lead me to like one of the points that I want to mention here as well. But I'm just using the word hater, not because I really think that they hate me, or because, I hate those people or whatever. But it's just to help us understand who we're talking about here a little bit more, right? I think that when you have oppositions in your birth chart, right, you are more prone and more likely in your life to come across haters in a sense. And whatever it is that you're seeing in the other is always going to be a reflection of what it is that you are being called to look inwards within yourself. Especially if it's a Mars opposition like me, or even moon oppositions, these are going to be like reactions, because both Mars and moons are very reactive by nature. These are going to be the ways that you do something, the ways that you see people doing something that you feel, or the way that you do something with Mars, more likely, and you feel like you're doing it because it's the other person, or because you need something from the other, but actually it's something that you need to confirm or reaffirm within yourself by yourself. This can be like an ego boost in a sense if it is Mars like me, or it can be a way of finding belonging if it's the moon, or finding comfort if it's the moon. You're waiting to see how the other person's going to respond to the way that you say or do certain things. And by the way that they respond, you get that need met in all oppositions. And I think one of the most interesting oppositions is like Pluto oppositions. If you have it, and I have Sun opposite Pluto as well, by the way, in my birth chart. I forgot to mention that. So one of the most interesting oppositions is Sun-Pluto oppositions, right? Because Sun-Pluto oppositions allow you to be able to see how you have aroused the darkness within another, the insecurities within another person, that is actually being called for you to look back at yourself and see how are you subconsciously arousing their insecurity because you're insecure. There's something there that's mirroring each other, this mirroring effect of oppositions. That's why when you have opposites in your birth chart, there's a lot of potential for growth. There's also a lot of potential for enemies and haters, and growing and learning from that, and seeing how you can come back to yourself. How are they mirroring parts of you to yourself? So yeah, like I said, I went deeper into like the reasons why these haters exist, and if you guys are experiencing them, I hope that this video will be kind of useful in a way too. So yeah, the two reasons that I feel are the reasons why, people really hate on another person. I think one of them is a little bit more personal and subconscious, and another reason is more unconscious and has to do with the collective. So with the collective unconscious in a sense. The first reason that is more personal, and this is more of the surface level of things, it is, of course, having to do with jealousy and envy. Because once there is a perceived equality that somebody has with you, they perceive you to be an equal, right? Maybe they are a friend, maybe they are a sibling, or maybe they are just somebody that you've met, that they are a colleague, right? They think that they perceive you to be equal to them in a sense. But the moment that you are maybe getting more fame than they are, or you're getting more success than they are, or you're just standing up and changing your life in very profound ways, now you are no longer an equal. And when you're no longer an equal anymore, that is when jealousy happens, because you're somehow growing and evolving and getting something that maybe that person wants, but they haven't done for themselves. And that is when they can act in ways that might be various different forms of subconsciously saying that they are jealous or envious of you. Maybe they make a little bit nasty comments here and there. And I think that that is a very interesting way that the human psychology works, because it's almost as if instead of using your own energy to motivate yourself to live the life that you want, you would instead tear somebody else's life down. Not to say that you're going to be able to do it just because you are jealous and envious of them. I mean, we always have to uphold our own life and the way that we do things and not be so affected by these people who may, want to tear you down. It's like they see you building a building and somehow your building is taller than their building, and they feel like they have to tear your building down instead of them going to and trying to build their own building to make it higher and better the way they want, right? So it's like, it's this way in which we think that we don't have the energy to be able to do what we want. And then instead we will attack another person. Not taking responsibility for your own dreams or for your own desires. That is what's the cause of jealousy and envy, which leads to, oppositions and haters in life. And another thing that I also feel, and that is also what I've experienced, is generalization. Like the people who become your enemies or your haters, they don't really try to understand you or what you're coming from. They generalize. Like when I say I'm not working 9 to 5, people think, well, then she's not working at all. And there's also another part of, people who are haters that they have an inability to relate to you in a sense. So, because let's say I'm not working 9 to 5, they can't even comprehend how that is even possible, right? They can't relate to that. So they instead will attack you. Now we go into the more unconscious and collective reasons for these haters on social media or in your life. And this is when it gets really deep, because I feel like deep inside of the collective, there is broken trust. We are not able to trust each other. And I think that that is stemming from the way that we grew up and having experienced betrayal or heartbreak with friends and family, and having experienced like this feeling of I can't trust that person. And so I think there's also an inability to trust, for example, the government or educational institutions in the world. Or deeper than that is the inability to trust ourselves. And that is what it hurts the most, is not being able to trust that you can change your life, that you can stand up, that you can be successful. And so what happens when we feel like we can't trust anybody, like really deeply down, like really, unconsciously, because we've experienced betrayal or heartbreak or whatever, when we just aren't able to trust another person, it leads to this need to create division that comes in the form of somebody is more inferior and somebody is more superior. So this division may come in the form of race or social or economic status or gender. And with my video on Instagram there, I would relate this one to being about economic equality, because it is about money. And it is about not having to work. And how do you get money? People comment like, how do you make money? How do you pay your bills then? Well, I do work, first of all. And so that is where that division is created, because you don't trust somebody. In this case, in my case, is that the haters there don't trust somebody that is not working the 9 to 5 like they are working. They don't trust that like economic gap that is existing there. They think there's something mischievous or something inauthentic about it, right? When this happens, when we create these kinds of divisions, we begin to compete and our survival instincts come on and we begin to view people as threat. And that is when it leads back to that point of jealousy, which is sort of like what we see on the surface, but actually here it is. Here is the survival side of us that comes out. And in terms of my example, in my case here, it is the survival that comes from the form of money and work and how do you make that happen? And so it becomes a competition. And this competition is, it's kind of like, when I'm getting comments about people who are stuck in the 9 to 5, who feel like they have to suffer, it's almost like a coping mechanism, like a phrase, a sentence that they have to keep telling themselves. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they don't have to take responsibility. So they can feel like they are right. When we feel like there's competition or there's a threat to our survival, we begin to utilize weapon. But here, in my case, of course, we're using social media as a weapon. And there may be other forms of weapon. Words may be a weapon. We may use our social contacts as weapon. We may use our job as a weapon against somebody, like if a colleague is, one of your haters, for example. And here, one of the tools that's being used as a weapon is social media and the online world. So that leads to like this whole psychology of haters and things like that. And so what I want to say at the end of this video right here is that I really feel like one of the things that we can really do to bridge, and I think this is coming from the person that is being hated, what we can do to bridge this gap here is authenticity. Because I feel like, if I am being authentic about my path and how I have left my 9 to 5 and I'm still making money and I'm still living the life that I want to live, and all of the things that have aligned for me after I left my 9 to 5, I'm really authentic in sharing that journey, then I feel like it can create a lot of compassion within people. And I think that's what's missing here. It's compassion at the end of the day. And that's why no matter what kind of comments are being written and what different kinds of haters there are out there, it's really all about compassion. There's nothing else that we can do about it except create and have more compassion in the world. And compassion can only be created if we really understand another person's journey, another person's struggles, all the things that they have been through to have the life that they have now. And from the side of the haters themselves, I think if the person being hated is trying to create authenticity, is being vulnerable and is sharing more about their lives, but the haters are somehow still closed off to that, which there are also a lot of people there on Instagram, because I did share a story about my journey on Instagram too, and there were still people that didn't watch that video and prefer to just remain in the mindset that they've already had because they don't want to change. It's safer. There's also those people, and I think that those people, we can't really do anything about it, because if you're not choosing to open your mind, if you're not choosing to try to understand somebody, if you're not choosing to try to bridge the gap, then it's like, in Thai you call it like, you can't clap with one hand. There's no sound if you clap with one hand, right? You have to clap with both hands. We have to meet each other halfway and really try to understand each other, coming from a place of compassion, listening, being open, and knowing that there is no superiority or inferiority. We're equal as human beings. And maybe the only thing that we're not equal with is what you choose, is the choice that you decide to choose. Do you choose to empower yourself, or do you choose to be stuck in your prison? You get to make that choice, and it is only up to you. It is your choice that is creating the division. It is your choice that is creating the inferiority or the superiority. The hated is hurt, and the haters are also hurt. And we're causing more and more hurt in the world. And this social media as a weapon is a small portion of it. There are other ways that we do this obviously, as you guys know, with the war going on in the world and everything else, that it's not just social media. This is a small part of it. This is one way that we are hurting each other. And we can bridge that hurt by seeing each other as human beings. So I think that is going to be the end of this video. I felt like I went on for a little bit there, but I felt like this message really needed to be shared because I've also been talking to some other people that I know on social media who are also getting haters. And it's kind of like, this message needs to be more shared. You know, we need to come out and speak about this. So before I leave off today, beautiful souls, I just gotta say that I am loving this kimono that I got right here. This is a kimono that I got from Ajjaya. I am currently their brand ambassador. I'm really happy and excited about it because I'm going to be wearing more of this beautiful, tribal, sustainable, and ethnic handmade clothing made in India from Ajjaya. So yeah, if you guys like this and if you feel like you're looking for something very tribal, very comfortable, this kind of like boho style, then you can visit a link that I'm going to leave in the description box below, which is my brand ambassador link. If you use that link, you can purchase from Ajjaya at 10% off. You can also use my code WARRIORESS to purchase from Ajjaya and you get 15 to 20% discount. So I just wanted to share that with you guys here today as well. All right, well, I'm sending you guys so much love. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. And also give me a super thanks if you just enjoy the content that I've been creating and you want to support me further. All right, beautiful souls, bye.